Joining us with more on this is Nick Bontis. He is a business strategy and management expert and a professor at the DeGroote School of Business at McMaster University. So Nick, you, like many people, are probably going, what is going on? We've got Starbucks opening up all these stores recently, expanding quickly, only to shut 600 stores down now, but then saying we want to open more stores soon.
I know, this is such a huge mistake. I mean, it just doesn't make sense at all. Let's shut down 600 now, and oh, by the way, we're going to open 200 more next year. So in terms of a strategy, it ain't. What this is an admission of a mistake. Basically what they're saying is, you know what, we opened up too many stores in too many places that we shouldn't have, so we've got to retrace our steps now, shut all those suckers down before we can open up some new ones. The stock market obviously is not liking this news. They're trading at the lowest level they've been at since like 2003, and I think the reality is they probably have a lot of variance among their stores. And what variance means that they probably have a lot of revenue per square foot in their really, really high traffic dense stores and very, very low revenue per square foot at some of their newer stores. So
mismanagement on what front? Just miscalculating the demand? The economy certainly is a factor, right?
Well, the economy is definitely a factor. I mean, they're just very, very aggressive. And, you know, all the prime spots, let's face it, in the U.S. are taken. You know, 8,000 stores. The prime intersections of streets are taken. And now we do have a little bit of other pressure in terms of disposable income, right? The gas prices are going up. But, I mean, let's face it, most people who will stop by Starbucks on their way to somewhere else. So it's not as if they're spending extra gas just to get a coffee. That's, of course, not including the real heavy Starbucks drinkers. But at the end of the day, also $4 is pretty steep for a cup of coffee. You know, as Canadians, you know, we're used to the cheaper price for coffee. So obviously, people are trying to save some of their money. And Starbucks, you know, they made a strategy choice a couple of years ago when they decided to concentrate only on their core, and their core, of course, is just coffee. Whereas Tim Hortons and some of the other stores, they've now started selling other stuff as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's partly because of what they're not selling, you're saying, that is part of what's happening in terms of them having to shut down stores. Some people I've seen have said, you know, it's also initially they were selling a coffee lifestyle, and then they took away that lifestyle bit away, right? Took out some of the couches, some of the periodicals available to people. Do you buy that one?
Well, I mean, I buy it a little bit because that's expensive, right? I mean, the leather couches and the free Wi-Fi and internet access is very expensive. But on the flip side, if you look at what Tim Hortons has done, they say, you know, coffee will bring them in, and we make a lot of margin on coffee. But what's going to make them stay are, you know, sandwiches and soups and chili and bread. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but Tim Hortons is one of the largest bakers now in Canada. So I can just imagine Tim Hortons is licking their lips now in Canada because they're thinking, if any Starbucks locations happen to shut down in Canada, even though they didn't announce it today. But if that happens, you know, there's going to be all these extra new coffee experts in terms of labor market. So we're going to hire those people away. Tim Hortons has very, very high density in Canada. We know there's one Tim Hortons for every 12,000 Canadians. So I don't want Tim Hortons to suffer from the same problem that Starbucks did in the U.S.
Let me ask you, is it too late for them to turn it around? I mean, you don't dump a brand that successful, right? They're going to move forward. What do they need to do, in your opinion?
In my opinion, two things need to happen. One, they're going to have to start adding more complementary products, right? Exactly what Tim Hortons has done. Maybe offer a little bit more food, a breakfast sandwich. I mean, the breakfast sandwich was a huge hit for Tim Hortons because everybody was walking in there in the morning getting their coffee anyway. The second thing that I think Starbucks is going to have to do is look for more international locations. You know, 8,000 locations in the U.S. I mean, they've got probably every major intersection of every town covered. So they're going to have to go to Europe or the Far East or, you know, South America. International expansion and new product offerings is probably the only way that Starbucks is going to continue to grow.
All right, Nick Bontis, professor at the DeGroote School of Business at McMaster University. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.